Hello and welcome back to our third installment of Spotlight on Laurel, her history and her people. This is a labor of love for me, and with the help of Noah White on video control, we're committed to bringing you this ongoing series born out of a deep love for all things local. I'm interested in not only talking about preserving our history, but also taking the reins and doing it. All of this will outlive me, and it will give future generations something to look back on so they'll know where they came from. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with the legendary, you don't mind me calling you legendary, Coach Roy Bowling. And Coach, we're friends, you and I, but I want to say first what an honor it is for me to be speaking with you today.
Kip, I appreciate that.
First, let's talk about you and your family. Let's talk about where you came from, your mother and father, and then I also want to talk to you about your children, and then we'll get into your occupational stuff later. So,
Well, my mother and father are both Laurel Countyans. My father moved here from Clay County when he was 9 years old, and my mother was born here. She was a Hibbard, Scott Hibbard's daughter. And they had Troy Bowling, my oldest brother, one he passed away a year ago, and myself and Joyce, our youngest sister. So they had 3 children.
right.
And I happened to go to Georgetown College and met my wife, Mary Jo Bowling. And we have 3 daughters and 7 grandchildren. And we have quite a family. It's the only bad part about it, we lost Jan about 11 years ago, and
we'll talk about that a little bit too.
But anyway, we're a very close unit family, and we enjoy being with each other.
So you and Mary Jo, though, you both worked at. I know when I was going to school at London, she was a teacher there.
Right.
And you were already in the county school system by that time. But did you and her work together for a spell after you met her at Georgetown, right?
Right. Well, she started out teaching at Lilly.
Okay.
Lilly High School. They
Okay.
needed an English teacher, and that was her first job in this county. And of course, I started out at Hazel Green when I got out of college.
That's right.
I was at Hazel Green for 5 years, and then I came to London, had an opening in London. I came to London, and at Hazel Green, I started baseball down there and assisted Halbert Hodges in basketball.
You had some really good
We had some really good teams, and then I came to London, and for the first year, I assisted Mutt Samples in baseball, and then I became the baseball coach at London. And when he quit, and then Roy Woolham and I coached basketball. He was head coach there for 2 years, and I assisted him. And then when he left, I took the head coaching job. And then a little bit later, I took the athletic director before we consolidated into Laurel County.
Yeah.
We knew that was coming, so we started kind of figuring what we wanted to do when we consolidated. And
that would have been in the late 60s.
Right. Well, we consolidated in 1970. And so I was at London in late 1965 through 70.
Okay. Those Hazel Green teams you mentioned, I know they had championship teams back years ago, but you weren't part of any of those.
No, they won a state championship in 1940.
1940, okay. I wasn't sure of
Charlie
the year
Smith, GJ's dad, was on that team.
That's good information right there, yeah. So a lot of folks don't know that Hazel Green was a championship school.
Oh, they were.
They really were. They had a lot of good players.
They had Patton, a guy by the name of Patton. I think he was the first one that ever shot jump shots. Back then, they shot the two-handed set shot.
Yeah.
But he was the first one to shoot the jump shot. He was really good.
Yeah, and so the Laurel County schools became Laurel County schools in 1970.
1970.
They took in those 4 high schools:
Right.
Bush, Hazel Green, Lilly, and London.
Right.
You know, so your roots, they run deep here because you were born and raised
right.
here, and you were part of you grew up just after World War II. You were a youngster when all that was going on.
Right.
Right. And then, so you've seen a lot of change here in Laurel County.
Oh yeah, I used to sell war bonds during World War II when I was a little fella.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'd go around our neighborhood. They had a drive on to raise money, sell war bonds, and I went around selling war bonds.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can barely remember that.
Yeah. Wow. So so you talked about your family. You were an athlete and you were also a coach. Tell us about your athletic career yourself. I mean.
Well, I played in high school. I started out in the 8th grade playing basketball for Claude McKnight, Joe's daddy.
Yes.
Joe
Okay.
McKnight's daddy. And then I came to high school and I played for Hobart Hodges for 4 years, and we had some pretty good teams. Ernie Wiggins and I played together his senior year. He moved to London his senior year. He and I played guard together, and of course Ernie was just an outstanding player. He went to Wake Forest, and we had a good team, and we had 4 good teams back then. We fought each other just as unreal.
Oh yeah, those 4 high schools.
I mean, it was unreal.
It was. Would you compare it to the North-South rivalry of today?
Yeah, very close, maybe a little harder.
Yeah. So yeah, because you had 4,
right?
And everybody wanted to be the big dog.
Well, everybody wanted to beat London.
Okay. All right, I get it. So
London wanted to beat everybody else,
right.
So we kind of went at it.
That's great. That's great. But you know the ironic thing, I think, and from my experience there, I was born in 1965, so I was born the year Jan was born. But you were a coach in a house full of cheerleaders here.
Oh yeah, I had three
girls.
cheerleaders.
Yeah, and
3
all 3 of them I
cheerleaders.
think cheered, right? At one point or another, they all 3 did.
I later went on to Georgetown College, and I played 1 year of basketball there, and I played 3 years of baseball. And we won the KIAC all 3 years. We had a real good baseball program there.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Davis was our coach. He was Lawrence's coach too.
Yeah.
Bob Davis coached.
Lawrence talked about you bringing him in.
Yeah.
That's where you met Lawrence.
Yeah, he Bob Davis coached everything over there: basketball, baseball, football.
Yeah.
The only thing he didn't coach is track, but he coached everything back then. And so I really enjoyed playing at Georgetown College.
Yeah, and so your experience there led you to your relationship with. One thing I want to do with this series is kind of start to put some pieces of the puzzle together, because everything's connected somehow. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, the things that we talked to Lawrence last week and the things that he's done here, maybe things would have been different if you and him hadn't went to Georgetown College together, for example. Just little things that folks don't know about, But let's talk about my experience with you and your family for a minute here, and where I got acquainted with you. Jan and I, we started first grade together. And I'm just going to put this out there, Coach. You can ask any of our peers who the prettiest girl was, okay? It's a consensus, but I'm going to tell you what I learned about Jan Bowling as we grew up together. I started to realize as you grow up, you mature, and you start to see people for what they truly are. And she was just as lovely on the inside.
Oh, she was something special.
She was a special angel. I've said that to a lot of people. But Jan, she was just easy to know and love. And in high school, like I said, there was a group of us who started first grade together. Then, of course, middle school and high school. Back then, we called it junior high. But then you start to incorporate the kids from other schools and make new friends and keep your old friends, make new friends, and it gets bigger. But she dated one of my best running buddies in high school, so we were around each other really a lot for 12 or 13 years. Jan and I was, and of course I knew Duncombe too, Greg Duncombe, and we've been praying for him. We won't expound on, but he's going through some things right now that need prayer.
Very serious.
Yeah,
very serious.
He needs prayer. But Jan being taken from us, she was like an angel on earth while she was here, but that was a tough blow.
Yeah, she had. We didn't know.
And I didn't come to bring sadness today, but we'd be remiss not to mention her.
We didn't know, and she didn't know. She was getting tired easy, and come to find out, she had a birth defect. And she was not supposed, with that birth defect, she was not supposed to live past 1 year old.
Wow.
And she lived to be 40.
That shows you the strength of her spirit. Yeah. And as I said, I didn't want to get sad here today, but boy, she left a great legacy. Those two beautiful boys. Yeah.
Yeah, they're Debbie's two has graduated from UK, and Cody, Jan's oldest, graduated from Western, and Zach graduated from Eastern. So we got those four through, and we got three more to get through.
I saw Carrie Ann not long ago. I visited her on the campaign trail, but it was good to see her. I hadn't seen her in a little while. But yeah, you got a lovely family, and
thank you.
And yeah, but let's talk about your foray into coaching girls basketball. Now you and Rex, okay? You know, I know you have a million stories, and I love hearing them. But you and Rex actually kind of wrote the how-to manual for girls high school basketball because, you know, it was relatively I don't know, it was a new thing. I mean, you coached some great teams. You made the county proud, and all the while you kind of made it look easy. Now, a lot of people found out it wasn't that easy, but those days, I want to tell you something, Coach, for people on the outside looking in, those were magical times for this county. Those parades that came down, and I remember going and watching those young ladies play, and you guys just had the magic, man. Let's talk about each of those championship teams and maybe what led to all that.
Well, it all started out, I could tell you the story take all day, but I'll tell you in gist. I was a baseball coach when we at London, and when we consolidated, Mr. Gillum hired me as a baseball coach to start the baseball program at Laurel County High School, and I did. And we had a heck of a program. And this girls thing came in with Title IX in 1974.
Okay.
And the legislature passed a law that if the high school had a boys team, they had to have a girls team.
Wow.
So he called me in one day, and he said, Coach, he said, I want you to take this girls job. He said, you've coached boys and been successful at it. He said, I want you to start the program. He said, I don't want to give it to somebody that don't know anything about it.
Trusted you. Yeah.
And I said, well, you're crazy. Because I got to thinking, you know, when I taught PE, when I first started teaching, you played 3 on one end, 3 on the other. That's the way the old girls' rules used to be. So he said, well, I'll make your wife team sponsor. And he told me what he's going to pay. And he said, you go home, talk it over with your wife, and let me know in the morning. And, of course, my office was right down the hall from his, and I went in the next morning. Mary Jo and I talked it over, and we decided, well, we might try that. But I went in, I told him, I said, Mr. Gillum, I said, we're going to do this. I said, I don't know how long, but I said, I want to keep baseball because I love baseball. And he said, that's fine. So the first 2 years, the first year we played girls basketball, and I coached the baseball team. We were in 76 ball games. I was killed.
Oh, yeah.
And I kept it one more year, and we got to the Final Four in the state tournament. And I gave it up because I had gone out and got a bunch of young kids in the grade school that were playing on the boys' teams. And I brought them in and talked to their parents. They were going to get them to and from practice.
Wow, and that was your team.
And that was because we had 2 kids in high school that had played in other states just a little bit. Renee Byers and I can't think of her name now.
So the girls just didn't play basketball? They didn't know anything about it?
No, they didn't know the first thing about it.
Wow.
And
so
the first day I had tryouts.
Go ahead.
First day I had tryouts, had 90-some kids. And I run them pretty hard. Next day I had 20-some. And
so that's for all you aspiring coaches out there, how to make cuts. And that's kind of something that a lot of people don't realize, but that's an easy way to find out who's. I could tell stories about that myself, and that my cousin Victor Glenn, he went to Eastern and played football, and he walked on, and Coach Kidd, he had similar methods. He didn't He made the cut, but a lot of folks didn't. He lettered 3 years there, but that's an aside. Now, when you asked, I want to get back to this. This is very interesting with the inception of girls basketball. But when you asked Mary Jo about it, was she hesitant or was she supportive? Okay.
She's
like, "Are you?"
We
she
talked
said,
about
"Are you crazy, honey?"
and we thought, well, that'll give us a nice little raise in
that's
our
extra
salary,
income.
and we had 3 young kids, and Mr. Gillen was really insistent on me taking it, and of course he's my boss, and I, I kind of felt like I needed to do it
I understand
for
that.
a few years, but after I got those young kids, I thought, well, in basketball, I thought I got a chance to win the state tournament with them. And
we're
so
talking
I
about
decided,
young kids.
Oh yeah, it's 7th and 8th graders.
So 74. So now we've got a team of 7th and 8th graders playing high school basketball.
The first year was 1975 season, and we were 20-2, and we got beat by Monticello in the finals of region.
Wow.
And they were a little bit better than us that year. But the next year, we didn't play during the regular season. But the next year, we met them in the finals of region again, and we were 30-0.
Wow.
And ranked number 1 in the state.
Name some of those girls.
Well, there's Carla Campbell was the other senior, Renee Byers and Carla Campbell. But
I realize you can't name them
they
all.
They were on the 77 team. But Sharon Garland,
yes,
was one of the young ones we brought up from campground, and Lisa Collins from Phelps.
Yes.
She's in the 7th grade, and Sharon was in the 8th. Delena House brought her up, not that first year, but the second year. And she was in the 7th grade.
Remember all of them.
She was just a fantastic point guard. I mean, she's just like a coach out there. And so we had the next year, we had the 3rd year, Monticello went ahead and beat us. We got so far behind. Let me tell that story first. We got so far behind early, and I called timeout, and their eyes were glassed over. And I didn't know hardly what to say or do, because I never had that to happen. And anyway, they went ahead and got ahead of us about 18 points, and we come back and got back within 3 points and got beat 3. But the next year, we had our invitational tournament early in the year, and I invited Monticello. And I put them up against us the first game of the tournament on our floor, and we beat them. We beat them pretty good. So we kind of got the monkey off our back. And then the next year, we beat them in the semifinals, and went to the state tournament the first year. And guess who we drew? First game.
Was it Monticello?
No. We beat
Oh,
them
you
out.
beat them. Yeah, okay.
Corbin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we had split with Corbin that year. We'd only lost 1 game and split with Corbin. And we drew them the state tournament. And I was kind of glad we did, because we forgot about playing in the state tournament. We was playing Corbin. And they got their mind on Corbin instead of the state tournament. You know, a lot of teams, when they go to the state tournament, first time they're scared. First time out there, they're nervous and don't play very well. But we played well.
That was a good draw.
We beat Corbin 15 or 17 points.
Oh, yeah.
And then we went on and won it.
Yeah.
And then we won 3 in a row.
3 in a row. And you had girls. Those girls were the core. You know, those girls that you named were the core, but then you had other girls come up, and there were so many. Yeah.
Lord God.
We won 3 in a row right there.
3 in a row.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
It is.
I thought we might win 1. I never dreamed we'd win 3 in a row.
Well, that sets you up as the legendary status, I think. I mean, you carried that well, but I mean, as I said, you all kind of, and Rex, big part.
Well, I have to tell you about Rex. Rex, he and I have been together.
Rex Fredericks.
When I started coaching Hazel Green, he sat on the bench with us, kept stats for us. And, of course, he started the Tuttle boys out, and then we got them at Hazel Green. And, of course, they made us a real good team. Those Tuttle boys did. They were outstanding. And so then when we consolidated, Rex was appointed to coach at London junior high,
Mm-hmm.
and I helped him in the 8th grade for a year or two, and then when this girls thing came in, he wanted to help me, and I said, yes, sir. But Rex was one of the best fundamentalists, fundamentals basketball that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And if they could go through him and get to me, to the varsity, they were pretty well ready to play. You didn't have to worry about him because he was tough on them, and he was good for them. He really helped them because they'll all tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I we're just like brothers.
I know that.
And we hung together all the time and went places together and tournaments together, and we just had a good time, and we enjoyed what we were doing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you guys did. Like I said, you made magic together, and those are things that folks never forget. But let's talk a little bit about you. You coached boys in baseball, girls in basketball. The difference in coaching boys and girls.
Well, the big difference, the girls play the game on the floor with fundamentals, and the boys play the game in the air, and slam dunk and all that stuff. And I coached the girls just like I coached the boys. I was more patient with them because they were young and never.
Well, and they're a little bit their makeup, their genetic makeup. They can. They get down a little bit easier maybe sometimes, or they stay down easier. Boys can bounce back, and we're all different, But
that's true. But now these girls kept kind of the same level.
Well, that had a lot to do with you, though.
It may have, but that's
how you coached them.
They never got too high and never got too low.
Yeah,
because we won 74 in a row at one time.
74, so it's 74 games in a row. May never be done again.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, probably. But so coaching, so you had to adjust to that though, to the differences in the male and female psyche when it came to coaching. But you gave one of the greatest analogies I think right then that I never thought about that. Girls play the game on the floor and boys play the game in the air.
Yeah, that's fundamentals. And the girls back then wanted to learn.
They wanted to hit a layup the right way, and they did.
They wanted to learn. Whenever you told them something, they would try every way in the world to do it just like you told them.
They loved the game just as much as the boys.
Yeah, they loved it, and they wanted to learn to play. And boy, we had some outstanding kids.
Yeah, yes, you did. So after that, you and for a while you were gone from Laurel County. Tell us about that.
Well, I retired in Laurel County at 89.
So you won the 3 in a row now, and you had other championships.
Oh yeah,
we don't want to skip over that.
No, we won 1987.
Name some of those key players.
Well, Kelly Smith and Jaretta Carney, Martha Bruner, Missy Irvin, and let's see, who's the other starter? I had maybe some different starters at different times, but that was an outstanding team.
Yes.
That year we played early in the year, and I had a bunch of seniors, and I give everybody a chance before Christmas, and then we decided on our starting 5 after Christmas, and we went with them, and they lost 1 game the rest of the year, and they got better and better and better.
Did you feel like you had what it took to win?
Yeah.
Win it all.
Lafayette beat us at home. The game we lost, and we beat Louisville team. They had Kim Pelkey as Miss Basketball. We beat them in the finals 2 points. Kelly Smith hit 2 free throws with 2 seconds to go.
I remember that.
So then the thing about it, we got to play. Back then they were letting the state champion play the Indiana state champion.
Yes, I remember that.
And they were undefeated, Noblesville, Indiana. That's who we played. And we beat them 17 points, and I played every kid I had dressed.
Man, that was a great team. Yeah.
So it was really a good team.
And so you also coached Stacy Reed.
Oh yeah, Stacy was that other starter.
Yeah.
And that's right. Stacy was a starter as an 8th grader.
Okay.
In the state tournament.
Yes.
And she was quick as a cat. I mean, she was quick. And
See,
she
I
was a
had
good
pleasure
ball handler.
watching Madison, and I'd watch Stacy, of course, and Madison and my daughter went to school together, and I do the PA there for the game. So tough too, tough. Madison played hard nosed.
Yeah,
and,
she was.
And Stacy was a hard nosed kid.
Oh yeah, Stacy was a special player.
And she made UK a great player.
She sure did. She's a fighter.
When did they get interested in her? Because I know you were part of it.
Well, they showed some interest early.
Mm-hmm.
But then I retired in '89, and she had 2 years left. And
Yeah.
Coach Hewlett took my place.
Right.
And I'm sure probably her junior year when they really got started on her.
Yeah. So not only her, and we can't. Obviously, we could talk all day about the things that a lot of your girls have done, but she wasn't the only one that played
Lord,
college
no.
basketball.
Lord, no.
Several of them went on to
Missy
do
Irvin
great.
went to
Yes.
Connie Irvin. She went to Cumberland, played.
Mm-hmm.
Missy, Cumberland. Leslie Shoup, Cumberland. We had Martha Bruner went to Trancey.
Mm-hmm.
Jaretta Carney went to Trancey, and they could have gone Division I, but they went to Trancey because they got almost a right full ride at Trancey.
Yeah.
And
and that's big because that's an expensive school. Yeah.
They went there and got a good education,
Mm-hmm.
and we just had a good group of kids. I mean, and
Yes, you did.
and they were just interested in playing together, staying together, and winning. They like to win.
And once you get bit with that winning bug, that kind of takes off, you know.
It does.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
love
it
it.
does.
So now from there you left for a time. You
Well,
retired.
I retired
tell us
and
about that, a little bit about that.
Went down with Judah Stidham helping him sell cars.
Okay.
And
I had forgotten that.
I was down there about a year and a half, and
How did you like that?
I loved it. The
And
only
you
thing
sold some cars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing I didn't like about it was you had to work late in the day because when people get off work,
Yeah, that's when
they
want
come buy a car.
So that's a schedule.
All day Saturday, and I didn't like that.
That was a schedule adjustment for an old coach.
It was.
Yeah.
So the job at Mercy Academy in Louisville, which we'd always played then, and man, they were always good.
Oh yeah.
And the job came open down there, and they had won the state tournament the year before. And so they contacted me and wanted to talk to me about it, and I applied, and they hired me, and I told them I'd be there for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe longer, but probably 5 years, because my family didn't. Of course, Mary Jo went ahead and retired, and she came down there, and she was teaching in the elementary school, Catholic elementary school. And
But now you're in a big city.
oh man, I loved it. I loved that school. It's one of the best schools I've ever walked into. Academics, athletics, and those people, they believe in what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they take care of their kids. They drive a car 200,000 miles so they can send them to a Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
And
So it was a great learning experience too.
It was just amazing. I was athletic director and basketball coach.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved Louisville. It was a lot of good places.
Good years for you there.
5. I was there 5.
5 years. 5 good. And those were all good to you. Those were
Oh
good
yeah,
years for
yeah.
you.
We had our team. Our team. The first year I was there, we only had 2 returning players off the whole squad, and I had to start all over. And I had the first season we were like 14-11, but we lost our first 5 games. And then each year we got better and better. In the last 2 years we were there, the last year I was there, we won 22 and lost 6. And I think we had a good shot at the state tournament, but my center sprained an ankle in the semifinals of regional. I had a 6'2" center. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Tough. And she couldn't play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got beat 4 points the next game.
Mm-hmm.
So But anyway, I thought we had a chance of winning it again, and I'd sure like to have done that.
Yeah, that would have been good to put that on.
That would have been
hang
nice.
that on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get back again, and you and Rex once again are coaching in Laurel County. How many years did you coach at North Laurel High School?
5 years.
You coached 5 years at North Laurel High School. Okay. But after you sat out a few years there was a few years between, right? Yeah.
When I came back from Mercy,
you just couldn't stay retired.
Well, what happened, Ernie Wiggins, before he retired, he come out here and said, Roy said, I need you to be DPP for me.
And you did a great job. See, I was on the board down there when that was
and because they couldn't hire a full-time one because they didn't have enough kids to get the money for it. So they hired me for 50 days of the year to do their work on their attendance. So he talked me into taking that, and then when Homer got to be superintendent, one day I was down there and he said, I want you to coach this 8th grade team. And I said, I don't know about that. And he talked me into taking that.
And you loved that.
And I loved that. I loved those kids. They were.
That's a special place.
They were. Oh gosh, yeah.
It really.
Yeah,
folks
man.
that don't know, they've never. I mean, it's just there's something about it.
It sure is.
It's like watching Andy Griffith or something. It's got that feel to it. You know, it's one of the poorest economic districts in the county, but boy, it's rich with love.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That school it's just different.
And they take care of those kids down there.
Absolutely.
And it was.
I was on the board for a number of years, and it was one of the greatest experiences in my life.
Yeah, it was.
I loved it.
I enjoyed it.
Made me a better person.
I enjoyed working down
there. Yeah, and so from there, you coached at East Bernstadt for.
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years, and then North Laurel comes calling.
Yeah, they had an opening, and of course my granddaughter was playing, and that's the reason I applied. Was to coach her, and they kind of struggled. But they had some good young kids, I thought, and we got off to a good start. But then we lost Katie Jackson, our point guard, tore an ACL, and that destroyed us. And we had a winning season, but it wasn't like 15-12 or something like that. And we got a little bit better each year. And my last year there, we had only had one senior, and I thought that team would probably go to state tournament. And because we were playing all the good teams, we got beat some. We got beat by Rock Castle as number 1. We played some strong teams. Went to the Lexington Catholic tournament, and we got the last game that we played when I had them all. We beat Lincoln County, and they were ranked 10th. We beat them 15 points. And Corbin, the next game, I think we beat them 18 points, and Corbin had a good team. And then, of course, you know the history of what happened after that. A bunch of my kids were kicked off, and they all left. So we ended up with a winning season there, but we didn't have our players.
Right.
The player of the year went to Clay County. They went to state tournament for 2 years. And another kid went to Prairie Central. They went to state tournament. Another kid went to Knox Central.
So you had a great nucleus there, and who knows how that would have turned out.
And I think the next year
would have
definitely we'd have been a contender.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be.
Yeah. So now the game though, in that 20, 30 year span between the early days of Laurel County and the inception of girls basketball in the state, and through that stretch of period of time there, had the game changed, or did the game change?
Well, it changed. The 3-point game.
That changed things.
Changed a lot. But I love the 3-point.
I do
but
too.
I also love the block. I think that's where you win. You got to have somebody
It took
inside.
some of that away. The 3-point line changed that.
Well,
changed it,
now it's they push it and shoot it as soon as they get down there, and shooting the 3. And if you're not hitting the 3, you get your butt beat. If you're making them.
If you can't, right.
So
not a lot of set
I think
shots.
you got to have both of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would coach the same way today that I did Sharon Garland that bunch. Run when you got the chance. If you don't have it, then execute the half court.
Execute in the half court, yeah.
That's
and girls basketball has probably kept those fundamentals probably more than boys, though.
Oh, yeah.
It has,
Yeah.
I think, watching the game.
But
so
I go to state tournament, and I see these teams trying to play like boys and make 30 turnovers. And Lord God, 30 turnovers kill me. I mean, if we made over 12, I didn't like it.
When I see, I don't go to the girls' state tournament, I go to the boys' state tournament, and what I see, it's called, I call it, backyard basketball. These guys are really super athletic, and they can, but the fundamentals, we've lost some of that along the way, I think. You throw the ball up and whoever can jump the highest, and it's just, I don't even say how the referees keep up with it, and sometimes I agree and disagree with their calls, but I'm not smart enough on the game to even sit there and argue with anyone over it. I mean, my son's he loves basketball. He's going to coach basketball, and he eats, lives, breathes, and sleeps it. But I do think what I see. I'm an old timer, and basketball used to be much prettier game to watch than it is now.
Passing is a forgotten sport.
Absolutely,
it's a forgotten fundamental of the game. Passing.
Yes. And
the guys that, like you said, they're athletic and jump clear out of the gym and shoot that three. And if you're hitting those things a good percentage, you're going to be all right. But you don't hit them every night. But
get on the block and try to then show me something on the
You got to take what the defense will give you, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If they're giving you the three or outside shot, you take it. If they're giving you where you get the ball inside and you got somebody can maneuver in there, take it inside. That's a high percentage shot. So that's just a matter of philosophy, I guess.
Absolutely. So now let's switch gears here. Something else that you and I share in common, and I got to touch on this before we go, but we toured Alcatraz together. Me and you did one time, and not many people from the same hometown can say that, but I'm the type, and I'll tell you the difference in our personalities. I kind of pour over everything, every sentence, every line. I take time to observe and absorb it. My brain probably works a little slower than yours, but as soon as we got there, it wasn't long till I lost track of you, Coach. You kind of zipped through there, and I was checking everything out, and you beat me back to the mainland on another boat there that day in San Francisco. Because do you remember that? Yeah. I just moved too slow for you, I think, that day. but we both had an interest in touring. We were the only ones that wanted to go over there and see that island.
I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed it.
I did too. I did.
I mean, that's history.
That is real, true history. I mean, and it's amazing how they preserved that.
And it's amazing how
it's a national park.
How you felt kind of odd.
You did. You really did. You see those. I mean, well, you've heard that history and you've seen it on TV, but you're standing there looking in that very cell.
Yeah, and you got them earphones on, them telling you
all about it. Yeah, it gives you the willies a little bit, Yeah. And then of course the Indian occupation, the burn it down, all that stuff. But it was that's an experience we share, and I tell folks all the time about that. But Coach, we're out of time, but you've given me a great interview here, and it's been a pleasure. You welcomed us in here, and I want to thank you. And really great memories of someone who always enjoyed watching your teams play. I enjoyed all those great times as a fan of Laurel County School because of that. That's my home. Well, I appreciate you doing this. Yeah, I think this is going to be something. We're going to give this to this historical society, and it'll be something that wouldn't you love to have some World War II veterans clips where you could go and watch how things were, and even dating back to their parents and how things were back in the early 1900s or even beyond that. I mean, I love history. Well, I do too. And I love it. None of us are always going to be here. You don't mind telling your age, but you said you're 83. 83. So we're not always going to be around, and but we can preserve this stuff now. We have the technology to do. Yeah, so. That's great. And so I think that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I appreciate you, Coach. Thank you.